So I sent you information, and we've discussed this contract in previous sessions. This is our custodial unit, and they have voted to approve the district's offer. Any questions you still have from that contract? I recommend approval.
Did you tell the board what the total package is over 2 years?
The total package is 6.98% financials over 2 years.
Over 2 years?
Correct.
Okay, I would entertain a motion. So moved. Move to approve the custodial contract. Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
So the MOU that you were sent on Friday has a slight adjustment. This is with the ALEA. For the last 2 weeks, we've pulled 19 teachers out of their regular role, which is for most of them not classroom instructional, to serve in helping us with our substitute teaching positions. Over the course of 9 days, those teachers served 103 different openings in the district, many of them at the high school, many of them across different buildings. This group of teachers, we are asking that they be paid their 1 hour per diem for taking on an additional assignment, similar to what our classroom teachers do when they take on a extra class during the day. They give up their prep. These teachers have given up their entire job, essentially, for the course of these 9 days. They were assigned it. They took it in good measure, and in discussions with the ALEA, we asked that the board consider paying not only their mileage, which they're entitled to, but that extra hour per diem that regular classroom teachers would get when they sub during the day.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your support of these teachers.
Point number 5.
Mary Jo has actually asked John to do this, so John's going to come up and talk.
Hello again. A couple years ago, I presented on some of the SLEDS data along with Mary Jo. The student survey that we had presented on before, those numbers haven't changed as they're just taking it this year. They were just taking it this week. So we'll see that new data coming around this fall. But in taking a look at the new SLEDS data, this is the 2020. The last time we saw this was 2018. This information has been updated along with the 2019 census data. SLED stands for Statewide Longitudinal Education Data System. There's a bunch of different factors that take a look at our students, and they're looking at the information now after it's happened. For instance, in the Minnesota Student Survey, about 85% of our students thought they would go to college as juniors. SLEDS will tell us how many actually went. Yes?
Very quick question. So 2020, what part of 2020 are we talking about that this is from? Just wondering, since it was when COVID started. Is this like June of 2020?
This would be the graduating class of 2020. So taking a look at the students. So again, now we take a look at the enrolled in college in Minnesota, enrolled in an outstate college, and then entered employment directly after graduation. This is again the fall after graduation. It now has the year span of 2010 to 2020, so 11 years in there of graduates. The red bars will show you if the number went down a little bit, green if it went up. Some significant interesting points on here. If you take a look at the far right column, entering employment went up in all categories, statewide, regional, as well as our own district. When taking a look at those numbers, the Southeast region actually has gone up 1% every year, entering employment directly, And the Albert Lee area schools numbers in 2020 were actually 30%. So getting close to a third of our students going directly in. Breaking that down a little bit further as far as 4-year, 2-year private and public schools, again with outstate in the far right side again. The information's really good when tracking inside the state of Minnesota. It knows how many will go outstate or have said they go outstate, but it doesn't track the numbers any further than that. And again, we saw an increase in our 2-year as well as our 4-year public. And out of all 3 categories, we were the only ones that went up overall. A lot of the numbers just kind of shifted from one category to another. Looking at the persistence again, all the persistence pieces have remained fairly similar as far as our actions.
Your averages here in 2017, is that accurate?
These go through 2017, correct. And they're up to 4-year, that's why it's the 4th academic year. So in looking at that, this is 100% of the kids going to college, which 63% of our students go to college. So how many return to the 2nd academic year? Approximately 85% of those students. And then what happens for the 3rd year and the 4th year?
John, does that take into account kids that have credits coming out of high school and graduate within their 2nd year or 3rd year?
Yes, these are the ones that return that haven't finished their degree yet.
Okay.
Yep. Looking at the degrees,
Back on that, though.
Yep.
They wouldn't necessarily get to that 4th year if they graduated early based on the credits they brought in.
but they'd be removed from the numbers because they weren't coming back to still work on the degree. So they would, they reflect in the earlier ones, but not at the 4th.
They
Yep.
have a degree then.
They haven't, yep, yep. So looking here at the highest degrees achieved by students, in all degrees, you can see we're at 53.6%. That's down 2% for us, but down at the region as well, up just slightly at the state of Minnesota, but we're all kind of together in that mid-50s range. This could have been impacted, obviously, the start of the COVID was that spring of 2020.
Is there any kind of study or statistics kept in, obviously we're lower in everything compared to the southeast region of the state of Minnesota, that would reflect the free and reduced lunch? In other words, we have a higher free and reduced lunch than a lot of the state of Minnesota, the southeast region, and the kids going to college 4 years, 2 years. Do they do any comparisons there that you've seen?
Not as far as the SLEDS data goes. They don't separate out that far. I can dig further to see if I can find that.
Just was thinking, each district is different, and even the southeast region, we got Rochester and some of those that could bring numbers up or down. We might bring them down more than others, just was curious. They've never done that.
It's potential to do a poll, but it would be a manual one. So you could go into the SLED system and take a look at, okay, Albert Lee, and then, in our area, the 2 closest to us, and they're both more diverse, would be Austin and Faribault. And then you could start to see, okay, there's a, if you're looking at that data, that specific set of data.
Just was thinking, because, we are at a different level than some there.
Yep.
Not that it's different, but we are.
And so this goes 2010 to 2014.
Yes, they're allowed 8 years to
8
complete a
years.
degree.
Thank you.
Does this cover vocational training, or is it only?
It's any
College.
certificates or diplomas that are conferred. So if
Okay.
it were a certificate program, that would be included as well. When we take a look at the top 4 employment industries that students entered through 2020 now, it's interesting, we've got a 4th one that has joined the ranks. The number 1 there is trade, transportation, and utilities. That does include both retail and wholesale trade. Learned that today. Leisure and hospitality is still holding strong. Again, both of those have about a quarter of our students from that 28% that's going out in the workforce. Manufacturing has just come into the scene. So as you can see, just 2019 and 2020, direct from graduation to manufacturing, and it's about 18.5% as an average over those 2 years. And then education and healthcare is also up there at 18.25%. But those are the top 4 areas that our students go into when they leave graduation and go directly into employment.
Do a lot of them earn, especially with the manufacturing, any certificates through their employment, or they're just going in there totally with no experience?
They may go in and get something afterwards. They may be getting it at the same time. What this statistic tracks is how many, when it's comparing the WDI information on who actually entered the workforce in that fall, what did they go into? So they could be doing both at the same time. That is possible. Or employers could be sending them back for those advanced degrees or certifications. This was an interesting piece I saw with the hourly wage differences. So in that middle column, I put the year that they first ranked for us, and the 2020 on the right. As you can see, the trade transportation, that group went up about 50% in the last 10 years or so. Leisure and hospitality, also about 50%. Manufacturing in just 2 years is already up 4%. And education and healthcare in their 5 years or so went up 30% as an hourly wage. So in looking at our census data, we updated that to 2019 now with our 5-year estimates. The 2020 census data is not out yet. Again, taking a look at our the yellow sections there, those that have the high school graduate or higher are in the upper one, and bachelor's degree and higher in the lower one. Minnesota is at the far right, Freeborn County in the middle, Albert Lea on the left. Taking a look at the changes from 18 to 19, looking at it as a county, so Freeborn County, you can see that there were some changes, both at the degree end of things, as well as at the lower end. And again, this is surveying all residents 25 and older. So these folks are 7 years out of high school as of 2019. Here's taking and comparing to some of our neighboring counties. So we've got Faribault, Mower, and Steele as our 3 neighbors. So you can see kind of how our numbers compared as a county to their numbers as a county. And we kept the state on there on the right side.
So Dave, to your point, when I mentioned Faribault and, Faribault County, okay, we
Faribault
don't have,
County,
all right,
yep.
we don't have, Rice County is where Faribault is. But if you compare us to Mower County, bachelor's degree by itself, we're at 12.3, they're at 14.7. Similar student demographics within the, along the free and reduced numbers.
But, so is this the amount of the entire population that has that then?
Of that county, yes.
Yeah.
That's indicated that this is where they're at.
25 and older.
25 and older?
Yes. And looking at our industry, they use these for employed of 16 years and older. So these, again, are the new numbers on what industries people are in. Manufacturing is still number 2 in our area, as well as in our county. On the next slide here, you'll see education services, healthcare, and social assistance as still the number 1 in our area. I know that was a lot of data in a very short amount of time. Any questions I can assist with? Sounds good.
What trends have you identified after having time to look at the data?
There's been some interesting ones with manufacturing coming in. That's been a nice growth area because we know that manufacturing is so important in our community. Also with our population changes, something that we were discussing earlier today was the possible effects of the folks moving into our community. How is that also changing how these statistics look? And just with our district itself, we don't know what the pandemic's going to do with a couple of these things, but with our the way we're educating more toward our careers, are the students understanding more what they need when they go out versus chasing those degrees that they may not use once they're out there with them.
And to
So
that
it's-
point, could you go back to I think it was your first slide of data. You had to do, okay, one more, please.
Okay.
Okay, I had just noticed, so just looking at the Minnesota Public 2-year, the state of Minnesota is at 30, we're at 37. Okay, and then we're lower on the 4-year. Interesting, okay. And then can you go back to the first one? I just wanted to see the going directly into employment.
There you go.
Yeah, so 28 go directly in and the state 22. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
John, did you indicate that we could get a copy of this?
Yes, we'll get it sent out.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Okay.
Comments? Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
John? Number 6, pursuant to Minnesota statute, section 13D.03, labor negotiations, we need to go into closed session. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
I'll move to go into closed session.
Thank you, Kim. Second. Thank you, Angie. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
We are 6-1 in favor of closed session.